Hey guys, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Neidigh. We're going to have to make this a quick one. I'm just on a short break from work. So I saw something in the comments that I wanted to bring up before we get into this response. So last night we learned that Wayfarer wants to depose Taylor Swift between October 20th and 25th due to her availability. She doesn't have any, I guess, before that. Doesn't she have an album coming out on the 3rd? So they're going to kind of go back and forth about that a little bit, which we'll see in this short response by Blake's attorneys. Blake Lively is not consenting to Taylor Swift's deposition in that time in October. We'll get into their reasoning about why. As far as these kind of scheduling issues and what will or won't be approved, I have a lot of questions for Omar, but he's been very busy, and also he was sick. And I think that he is still kind of in and out with his voice. He said he was coughing every 3 seconds. So, yeah. But we'll get through what we can and just kind of try to decipher that. And then if there's any kind of questions that I'll ask him, I'll ask later and come back with that. But first, I wanted to look at this really quick. So I don't have a source for this, really. I know... Oh, my God. What is that flare? Escaped goat runs from the cocaine bear of PR. Look, I'm a little out of touch with Reddit these days. It was just better for me to stay away from it mostly. This subreddit is all right. I'll come on this subreddit when I do, but I can see that I've missed a lot. What? Okay. Anyways, we have Blake wants to be a lawyer now, allegedly, and then there's something about her looking up LSAT prep, says source. Rob Shutter exclusively learned that Blake Lively could be planning on embarking on a new career path. She might be swapping her glamorous life for a legal one as a lawyer. I wouldn't try your hand at that. But, I don't know how true that is. Does anyone have an original source for that? Cocaine Bear equals Leslie Sloan. Anyone see the movie Cocaine Bear? It's like one of my favorite movies. It's absolutely fucking stupid. Aaron Perez likes to call her that. Okay, I've never heard that, man. All right. Anyways, I don't know the actual source for that information. I just saw it on this subreddit. So if anybody has it, can you send it to me? My email is on my YouTube channel. Just send it to me so I can look at that. Because I don't know if this is like some kind of blind item or if it's actually, came from a media outlet or something. Okay. Not without trying to author new laws. She needs authorship. Okay. I mean, you're not wrong. Oh, it was Variety. Thank you, Becky. Okay. I'll have to look at that later. Like I said, I'm just on a quick break from work, so we'll have to go ahead and get into this. Give me 1 second, guys. The word salad lawyer? You guys are... Man. Like, it's too early in the day for me to be that creative. Okay, anyways. Dear Judge Lyman, Plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully submits this reply in further support of her letter motion to modify the discovery schedule, dated September 11th. In opposition to Ms. Lively's motion, the Wayfarer defendants assert that they are entitled to an extension of the discovery schedule for the sole purpose of taking the deposition of third-party Taylor Swift. The Wayfarer defendants have repeatedly sought to bring Ms. Swift into this litigation to fuel their relentless media strategy. We all knew that they were going to say that. I mean, bear in mind, though, that she named Taylor Swift in her disclosures as someone who has information, that is relevant. So, all right, but go on. I guess that makes you feel better. In this latest effort, the Wayfarer defendants assert, though notably without evidence, that Ms. Swift has supposedly agreed to sit for a deposition sometime between October 20th to 25th, some 3 weeks after the close of fact discovery in this matter. Yet even if one were to take the Wayfarer defendants' representation at face value, they have not come close to establishing good cause for the requested relief. Okay. The Wayfarer defendants assert that Ms. Swift is not available for a deposition until October 20th, yet are silent about their efforts, if any, to schedule this deposition during the existing discovery period. That is likely because, as explained in the attached correspondence between the parties, see Exhibit A, the Wayfarer defendants do not appear to have contacted Ms. Swift's counsel regarding a date or location about the deposition until earlier this week. So I don't know if that's true or not. I always try to bear in mind when I'm reading these things, we don't see the other side of the correspondence. Like they have the emails attached to this, which we'll go through, but we don't see their side of it. So I don't know what was going on there. I know at one point they were going to do her deposition on September 22nd, but it sounds like she has a lot going on professionally and is saying that she's not available until late October. So I don't know. I don't know if they actually didn't contact her until a week ago. I don't know what was agreed upon back in May. I have no idea. Just being honest, I couldn't tell you a damn thing about that. So, all right. In this respect, the Wayfarer defendant's lack of diligence and disrespect for Ms. Swift's privacy and schedule is astounding. You fucking idiot. I don't want to hear a damn thing from this lady about the disrespect for Miss Swift's privacy. Miss, I will release your text messages if you don't do what I'm saying. Discovery has been ongoing for more than 6 months, and Miss Swift is someone whose calendar should be presumed to be packed with professional obligations for months in advance. Okay. At any point over the past 6 months, the Wayfarer defendants could have noticed a deposition, served a subpoena, and negotiated an agreeable time and place for this deposition, but they did not. So here's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't have done that like a few months ago. I know they, in May, had sent a subpoena. My understanding was that that wasn't like a subpoena for a deposition, but, you know, I guess there's a lot going on behind the scenes here that we still can't see. So I don't know. I don't really know why that happened, how it did. And I couldn't tell you if it's like a weird thing or not. I've never seen anything like this before, especially not involving some sort of insanely famous celebrity. So I have no idea. Instead, the Wayfarer defendants previously noticed Ms. Swift's deposition in May 2025, accompanied by a barrage of press stories covering the same. The press stories covering that subpoena, I don't think it actually had to do with a deposition. That's what I'm saying. I think that was like requests for, I don't know what you call it. You guys know what I mean. Okay. Only to withdraw that subpoena to much fanfare. Now, without explanation, long after dates and locations for all other party and third-party witnesses have been negotiated and agreed to, and without ever serving a renewed notice of a subpoena, the Wayfarer defendants come to this court and demand the right to take this deposition, and this deposition alone, more than 3 weeks after the close of fact discovery, and 10 days after the parties are due to exchange expert reports. Okay. Lisa says, Blake is the one who brought Taylor into this numerous times. Yeah. Yep. Cat says, I'm getting frustrated a bit with Wayfarer's lawyers. They're failing to connect the dots on some things. The judge tells them, had you argued X, it would have been granted. Had you attached X, etc. I mean, without like knowing specifically what you're thinking of, I don't know. But, I mean, hey, I understand, I think. I mean, I get the sentiment. Can't Taylor just agree to a deposition without being subpoenaed? I would love to answer your question, but I have no idea. I thought so, but I guess not. Okay. Footnote here says, Miss Lively noticed the depositions of Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath in this manner, and plaintiffs Stephanie Jones and Jonesworks separately noticed their depositions. Okay. To afford Miss Lively and the Jones parties their permitted time to examine Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath. Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath will be deposed over 2 days. Yeah. Okay. The Wayfarer defendants do not even attempt to explain their need for this deposition. Such a showing would be expected for any deposition occurring after the close of discovery, especially so for a third party, but is even more relevant for this third party, whom the Wayfarer defendants have consistently sought to use to generate a media spectacle in this matter. And I mean, we've been over this 1,000 times. Yes, anything involving her is going to be a media spectacle, but who had to name her, you know, in their disclosures in this? Also, if you're asking someone to delete text messages and stuff like that, then you obviously know that they have information that you would not like to be introduced into this litigation. Nor do the Wayfarer defendants address the potential disruption to the case schedule, including the potential need to take additional discovery and depositions following this deposition, as is common for third-party depositions. Indeed, the need for potential follow-up discovery requests and depositions is why the third-party depositions need to be pursued with diligence in a discovery schedule, and the Wayfarer defendants should not be rewarded for their inexplicable failure to do so. In sum, the Wayfarer defendants have shown no cause, let alone good cause, for the requested extension. Their request should be denied. All right. All right, we'll go through this email. Like I said, this is one email. That's from Blake's counsel. So we don't have the other side of this. We only have their email to Wayfarer. But let me look up something really quick before I do that. Okay, no, that was something else. All right. Below is a summary of the key points we discussed, followed by our proposed deposition schedule. We explained that due to the Wayfarer party's recent production of 80,000 plus pages of documents and your anticipated and belated production of signal communications, which, remember, they said they would be giving them the signal communications today. Okay. It is not feasible to proceed with these depositions next week. We proposed rescheduling them to a window between September 25th and October 10th in order to avoid disrupting the existing expert and summary judgment schedules. Okay. You responded that, subject to client confirmation, it is unlikely these witnesses will be available during that time frame due to previous scheduling conflicts and Mr. Sarowitz's upcoming international travel schedule. We find this difficult to believe given that your clients have been attending, either virtually or in person, nearly every deposition taken to date in this case. In any event, you suggested extending the entire deposition calendar through the end of October for all witnesses. You did not identify any other witnesses whose schedule was impacted such that this kind of significant change to the deposition calendar is necessary, other than your 11th hour request to schedule Taylor Swift the last week in October, as discussed below. All right. Laura, could you give Becky my email address, please? Thanks. Somebody says they just opened the door for Wayfarer to now state on the record why Swift needs to be deposed. Does Wayfarer get to respond to this? I don't know. So they filed leave to, file a response. So I don't even know if they were supposed to respond to Wayfarer, but that's something I really don't know. It's a good question. I kind of hope so, but we'll see. Given that a 30-day extension would disrupt every other meaningful deadline in the case management plan, require another revision to the expert discovery schedule just granted by the court last week, and likely make our current trial date unworkable, we cannot agree to your proposal. The brief extension we have proposed is narrowly tailored. Sorry. To address witnesses impacted by your delayed document productions, preserves the expert discovery calendar, and should not impact the trial date. To be clear, we are in this position because of the Wayfarer defendants' inexplicable delays and voluminous late productions. We have bent over backwards to make a deposition schedule that would work within the case management plan, agreeing to as many as 3 depositions a day for multiple days. That carefully constructed schedule did not anticipate the Wayfarer parties would openly violate court-ordered production deadlines, as you have now done with signal communications, or that the Wayfarer parties would dump 80,000 pages of documents well after the substantial completion deadline, after the depositions of key witnesses, and mere days before party depositions. Okay. So with the signal communications, like I said, they agreed to produce those today, to my knowledge. At least that's what they said last night. So. Okay. Moreover, you confirmed during the call that despite the court's order denying the Wayfarer party's request for an extension of time to produce signal communications, those communications will not be produced in full until at least Monday, September 15th. So last night, they had said that they keep claiming this Monday, September 15th thing, but they're saying that they directly told them that it would be September 12th. But we can't see their communication to them. We can only see the communication from Blake's lawyer. So that's kind of tricky, you know? Given that we appear to be at an impasse, and this affects depositions originally scheduled to begin in just days, we intend to seek leave with the court for the schedule we have proposed today. We will note your opposition unless you tell us otherwise before 3 p.m. Eastern. What day was this? Oh, dude, this was yesterday. Okay. Yeah. We noted that 3 depositions are already scheduled for that date and said we would explore rescheduling some deposition to accommodate someone's limited availability. You noted that your deposition notices preceded Miss Lively's notices, and you therefore expect the depositions to be held at your offices. Stephanie explained that she had spoken with, and then that's all redacted. We noted that we are aligned with the witness's preference with respect to location. You agreed to follow up with their counsel to confirm logistics. We also discussed the order of questioning with respect to these 2 witnesses. Based on the notice order, we will agree to the Wayfarer parties beginning questioning. So, I don't know, there's a lot of this like complaining about the location and stuff. About the depositions being held at their offices, where I'm just kind of like, is this normal? I don't know. Because, Blake got to pick her location, which is whatever. I've heard different kind of arguments about whether or not that was the right call, but it is what it is. It's over at this point. We explained that we are unavailable on the notice dates of September 15th and 19th and objected to the Wayfarer party's unilateral changes to third-party deposition dates without confirming our availability, given that all of the parties and the third parties had previously agreed to September 23rd and 25th for those depositions. You explained that the original notice dates conflict with Rosh Hashanah, and if that was the case, it would have been courteous to contact us to discuss alternatives rather than unilaterally re-noticing the dates for next week, 8 to 10 days earlier than previously noticed. Okay. We also discussed the Wayfarer party's proposed deposition date for Taylor Swift, which you raised for the first time yesterday. For weeks, you have had Ms. Swift's deposition tentatively noticed on the deposition chart for September 22nd, but never sent a notice of any subpoena confirming this date, do not appear to have ever conferred with Ms. Swift's counsel regarding this date or location, nor did you discuss with us how this could possibly occur, given that September 22nd was also slated to be the day of Mr. Baldoni's deposition, which was scheduled to take place, and then, of course, it's redacted, so. Then yesterday, Kevin Fritz stated that Ms. Swift is only available for a deposition from October 20th to 25th. On the call, we asked what relevance there is for Ms. Swift's deposition at this point, who was a witness the Wayfarer parties previously noticed and then withdrew with much fanfare, only to now ask that the entire deposition calendar be extended for 30 days to accommodate. One would expect an explanation of the ways in which this witness was key and essential to the defense. Instead, when we asked what the relevance was of this witness, such that you needed an exception to the deposition deadline and extension of the calendar, you simply stated that, and then it's redacted. So I have no idea what they said there. There are over 100 witnesses listed, more redaction, most of which are not being deposed in this case, so that alone cannot possibly be your justification for eviscerating the current case calendar. All right. We do not consent to any depositions, let alone depositions of third parties with only tangential relevance to the claims or defenses in this case. Okay. Being taken weeks after the close of fact discovery and in the middle of the expert discovery schedule. Withdrew a subpoena like they did for content creators? Yes, I guess. But, they always held that they could serve another one later on. So. We do not consent to any depositions, let alone depositions of third parties with only tangential relevance. Okay, weeks after the close of fact discovery. Got it. The reason for this is obvious. Any deposition might result in the need to seek leave to take additional depositions in light of a witness testimony. That is surely the case here, and it is why the third-party witnesses are typically deposed at the start of fact discovery, not the end. It is grossly irresponsible to delay scheduling the deposition of a witness of this kind until the last minute, and we do not expect the court will reward your lack of diligence by granting you an extension that would blow up the case calendar and trial date. To facilitate planning, below is our proposed deposition schedule based on our discussion, and then, we can't see that. So please let us know once you've had a chance to confirm availability with your clients and third-party counsel. Yeah, so like I said, we don't get to see actually any of their side of things. It's just Blake's attorney's message to them. I'm sure that there was some dispute there. Maybe there was more of an explanation. Like I said, they're claiming they're claiming September 15th for the signal productions, but Wayfarer is very adamant that they told them September 12th, despite what they wrote in that email. So is she allowed to say who can and cannot be deposed if it's not her? One sec. Okay. So I guess the problem is not so much her being deposed as her being deposed so late. And they would need an extension of the schedule for that. So give me 1 second. Okay. So, like I said, these filings from these guys, they've put things in there that's like either completely untrue or misleading, using some clever wording to where they can say like that's technically not what they said, and that might fly in like court. But I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not here to talk about like the legal language used and stuff like that. It's just to the public and to people who kind of like what you're doing, right? So to the public, people see that and they're like, you know what you're doing, you're being misleading intentionally. And so when it comes out that what they said in their filing was not necessarily true, it just makes them look worse and worse. So I am going to withhold judgment on that whole reasoning for Taylor Swift's deposition, why it was so late, whether or not they actually conferred with her counsel or not. I'm going to withhold judgment on that because I know that these people are not entirely honest in their representation of things. So I've been on the receiving end of that, which is still a completely ridiculous thing that I have to say, because I can't believe I ever got involved in this at all. Shannon Connolly, thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate it. Okay. Come on, Taylor, change the date to make it work. I mean, she's got like a whole thing going on, so that's tricky. All right. So I gotta go back to work. I'll be back with Ashley. We were gonna do 3, but I'm gonna see if I can push it to 5 to talk about the Rebel Wilson thing, because some of Justin's crisis PR are somehow involved in that. Not him, but his crisis PR people, Melissa, Nathan, and then a couple others, I think. So Ashley's gonna help me out with that. Don't start recreation, Lauren. You are popular and good, a real honest person. Thank you. I'm I have sometimes I question things more than others, but I took a little break for a while. That helped, I think. So, all right, guys, I gotta get back to work, like I said. So thanks for hanging out. I'll be back in a few hours. Appreciate it. Bye.